Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the English Daily Book Summary YouTube channel. In order to not stop learning, listen to an English book summary every day for free.
Ryan Dunlap, How to Untie a Balloon, A Negotiator's Guide to Avoid Popping Under Pressure. Have you ever watched someone lose their composure? Or perhaps you've been that person. Face flushed, heart racing, saying things you immediately regret. Maybe you've even been rendered speechless. In those moments, it's not knowledge that fails us, but our ability to access that knowledge under intense pressure. Author Ryan Dunlap understands this phenomenon intimately. As a former SWAT hostage negotiator and Special Victims Unit detective, he witnessed firsthand how even seasoned professionals can crumble when the stakes are highest. Today, through his consultancy Conflict-ish, Dunlap brings wisdom from crisis negotiation to business leaders facing their own high-stakes situations. And he's noticed something. Many of what look like conflict management problems ultimately come down to managing pressure. In this blink, you'll discover practical frameworks to recognize your pressure threshold, systematically analyze tense situations, and navigate complex challenges through methodical iteration. These tools will help transform overwhelm into actionable steps, allowing you to perform at your best, precisely when it matters most. Let's begin. Dangerous inflation. In his crisis management workshops, Dunlap employs a simple exercise. He invites participants to the front of the room and presents them with a straightforward challenge. Blow up a balloon as quickly as possible, making it as big as they can. The participants typically attack this task with enthusiasm, faces reddening as they force air into the expanding rubber. Only after they've created these taut, straining balloons does Dunlap deliver the second instruction. Now, untie it. What happens next is played out with remarkable consistency across dozens of workshops. The participants struggle with the tiny knot, their fingers fumbling as the balloon strains against their efforts. Many can't complete the task at all. And lastly, the balloon can pop when you least expect it. So it goes with other types of pressure. It's easier to let pressure build than it is to release it. Consider a surgeon facing months of escalating demands, increasing patient loads, administrative responsibilities, longer shifts, and personal life complications. The pressure accumulates gradually over months until one day, during a routine staff meeting, they erupt over a minor scheduling change. What took half a year to build explodes in mere seconds. The second insight from this exercise? To release a balloon without popping it requires patience. Calming down and letting go of stress takes time. When someone experiences intense anger during an argument, physiological arousal, elevated heart rate, adrenaline, cortisol, floods their system instantly. Yet these chemical messengers take 20 to 30 minutes to metabolize and clear, regardless of mental state. Many conflicts escalate precisely because people attempt reconciliation before this physiological cooling has occurred. Consider a couple fighting about household chores. The husband storms off to another room, but returns 5 minutes later, still physiologically aroused, believing he's ready to talk. Without full decompression time, the conversation reignites immediately. And, as you've seen, balloons can simply pop. People are remarkably poor at recognizing the limits of their own pressure threshold. Like the balloon that appears normal until the critical moment of rupture, people often maintain an illusion of control right until their breaking point. The executive who insists on working through exhaustion, the parent who continues taking on responsibilities despite warning signs, both resemble the balloon expanding to dangerous proportions. The wisdom of the balloon exercise lies in its visual simplicity. Pressure accumulates quickly, releases slowly, and threshold warnings remain dangerously subtle. Learning to manage these dynamics represents a crucial life skill, one that begins with understanding how your internal balloon inflates and, more importantly, how to decompress before you burst. Stretched to your limit. Police officers on patrol face conflict situations every day. Dunlap, drawing from his law enforcement experience, witnessed countless colleagues lose their composure in these high-pressure situations. For the most part, these weren't inexperienced rookies. They were seasoned professionals whose conflict and communication skills disintegrated precisely when they were needed most. Remaining calm during conflict requires deliberate training and practice. Without specific preparation for high-pressure communication, most people default to fight or flight responses that sabotage effective interaction. Any training gaps become evident in the worst moments: a negotiation breaking down or a confrontation with an agitated suspect. So how do you know when you're reaching your limit, when your balloon is about to pop? There are a few reliable indicators that can let you know you're getting close. First, your social mask slips away. Everyone maintains certain standards of self-presentation: professional demeanor, parental patience, leadership composure. But under extreme pressure, this carefully constructed facade crumbles, revealing your unfiltered reactions more than you'd like. Second, your performance begins to deteriorate. The hospital administrator who previously managed complex schedules flawlessly now makes basic arithmetic errors. The usually articulate teacher stumbles over simple words during a contentious parent meeting. These performance breakdowns often precede a larger collapse. Third, you become less rational. Decisions become increasingly imprudent. The negotiator who previously considered all perspectives suddenly makes unilateral demands. Critical thinking begins giving way to emotional reasoning, and nuance disappears. Physical and emotional warning signs also emerge: unexpected surges of anger, heightened irritability, brain fog, disrupted sleep, and strange feelings of disconnection. Yet it's important we keep our cool and remember how to communicate. For instance, during police firearms training, officers spend countless hours practicing malfunction procedures, what to do when a weapon jams or fails. Yet comparable training rarely exists for communication breakdowns. You don't throw your gun away when it jams. Similarly, abandoning communication because of an initial failure is precisely the wrong approach in critical situations. Knowing your personal breaking point gives you an important advantage. Just like a balloon, knowing something about your limits allows you to implement decompression strategies before catastrophic rupture occurs. This knowledge forms the foundation for maintaining effective communication even when everything inside you screams to abandon it. First steps to managing crises. Crisis negotiation represents communication under true duress. During high-stakes SWAT team operations, where lives hang in the balance, negotiators never work alone. Only one serves as the direct contact with the subject. Meanwhile, a supporting team researches the individual and situation, providing critical intelligence throughout the negotiation. Yet, however chaotic these crises may seem, there's a pattern hiding beneath the apparent disorder. The most effective negotiators systematically process complexity through 4 steps. They isolate specific problems from background noise, break these challenges into manageable components, determine priorities, and then act repeatedly on these priorities with disciplined focus. This observation led Dunlap to develop an original methodology for handling pressure, the First Steps Framework, which stands for feelings, interests, relationships, situation, and tolls. Let's look at each in turn, using the example of Linda, a hospital administrator entering into difficult negotiations. First, we have feelings. Begin by looking inward to identify your emotional state. What emotions are moving through you? Anxiety? Frustration? Fear? Like checking internal weather patterns, this awareness prevents emotional reactions from dictating your responses. Linda, our hospital administrator, notices her heart racing before negotiations begin, recognizing this as a symptom of anxiety. Next are interests. Clarify your actual objectives in the situation. What outcome matters most? What are the underlying needs driving your feelings? Many people under pressure lose sight of their true goals, becoming fixated on immediate irritants rather than their broader interests. Linda realizes her primary interest isn't winning every budget line item, but securing adequate staffing for patient care while maintaining departmental morale. Then comes relationships. Identify all the key stakeholders in the situation. Who can support you? Who is creating additional pressure? Understanding the relationship dynamics illuminates both sources of stress and potential resources for resolution. Linda maps the stakeholders in her budget crisis: supportive nursing directors, skeptical board members, and her finance counterpart, who faces similar pressures from different directions. Now reflect on the situation. Examine the objective reality, the concrete facts of the matter. What exactly is happening, stripped of assumptions? This creates a shared factual foundation for decisions and communications. The situation Linda faces involves a 12% proposed budget reduction affecting 3 departments, not a personal attack on her leadership or competence. Finally, we have tolls. Assess how the pressure affects you and others. What costs are you bearing? How are others being impacted? This honest accounting prevents unsustainable pressure from continuing unchecked. Linda acknowledges 2 sleepless nights, strained communication with her partner, and a key staff member threatening resignation. Tolls signaling immediate intervention is needed. Once this structured analysis is complete, decision-making becomes clearer. Which elements require immediate attention? The first framework transforms overwhelming pressure into components that can be systematically addressed. This methodology brings crisis negotiator discipline to everyday challenges, giving structure when pressure threatens to overwhelm you. Taking urgent action using the 3R framework. What do you do when action is demanded right away? When an emergency has arisen that seems to demand immediate action? Consider this harrowing domestic violence call. A man had attacked his spouse, leaving her injured and needing medical attention. The suspect then barricaded himself in a bedroom, brandishing a weapon and reportedly holding his children hostage. In such critical situations, there are 3 potential response paths. The first, inaction, might seem safest initially, but allows the victim's condition to deteriorate while innocent lives remain at risk. The second, immediate forceful intervention, might address the urgency, but dramatically increases danger to everyone involved, including hostages and responders. But there's a third option, which, if not secure, is the least worst of all. Proceed methodically while gathering information. This systematic approach translates directly to business and leadership contexts through what Dunlap terms the 3R iterative progression framework. When facing organizational crises, leaders cannot remain paralyzed, nor can they afford to act impulsively. Instead, they must iterate. Let's look at each step. The first R, realize, requires assessing available courses of action. A product development manager discovering a critical flaw days before launch might realize a few options. For example, postponing the release, implementing a temporary fix, or proceeding with full disclosure of limitations. The second R, respond, involves selecting and executing one action, despite uncertainty. The product manager might choose to delay the release by 2 weeks, communicating transparently with stakeholders about the decision while acknowledging the imperfect information driving it. The third R, realign, demands honest evaluation of the chosen action's effectiveness. If customer feedback indicates the delay created more problems than the original flaw would have, the manager might realign by accelerating development of a workaround solution while offering early access to certain customers. What makes this framework powerful is its cyclical nature. Leaders continue looping through these 3 Rs, gathering information with each iteration. The crisis negotiator uses the initial conversation to learn about the hostage taker's mental state. The executive uses preliminary market reaction to refine their next communication strategy. By embracing this iterative progression approach when making decisions, you can avoid both dangerous inaction and reckless intervention, instead creating a responsive pathway through seemingly impossible situations. Controlled decompression. Building on the first framework, Dunlap offers a practical technique for when pressure becomes overwhelming. When emotions threaten to overcome rational thought, employ the STOP protocol: space, time, and opportunity to safely release tension before critical mistakes are made. First, create space by physically removing yourself from the stressor. This means deliberately stepping away from the pressure source to gain perspective. A wife might step outside during a frustrating conflict with her husband. A customer service representative might put a difficult caller on brief hold to collect their thoughts. Next, take some time to deliberately calm your physiology. Engage in regulating activities, deep breathing exercises, a brief walk, or focusing on physical sensations rather than ruminating thoughts. The doctor experiencing mounting frustration with administrative demands might use a short break for mindful breathing instead of pushing through in an agitated state. You might even come back to the issue another day. Just don't wait too long. There's a point when taking time away becomes avoidance rather than preparation. Finally, find the opportunity to address the situation constructively. Like untying the balloon, which requires patience and careful attention, resolving high-pressure situations demands thoughtful engagement. A couple arguing about household chores might, after cooling down, schedule a weekend conversation about balancing responsibilities rather than forcing an immediate resolution. The opportunity step is about making use of a clearer mind to make better decisions. By implementing STOP, you have the chance to reconnect to your broader interests and longer-term perspective, rather than sacrificing it for an immediate emotional release. This approach can transform potentially explosive situations into opportunities for better decision-making, handling pressure with intention instead of being controlled by it. The main takeaway of How to Untie a Balloon by Ryan Dunlap is that pressure management is the key to effective handling of crises and conflict. Like blowing up a balloon, pressure builds inside rapidly, but takes time to decompress. By understanding your personal pressure threshold and recognizing warning signs before you pop, you can maintain effectiveness in high-stakes situations. Apply structured frameworks like FIRST, feelings, interests, relationships, situation, and tolls to break down overwhelming pressure into manageable parts. Use the 3R iterative progression framework, realize, respond, realign, to take urgent action. And when emotions threaten to overtake you, implement STOP, space, time, and opportunity to safely release tension before you make a critical mistake. Remember that pressure management isn't just a crisis skill. It's essential to your everyday effectiveness. Okay, that's it for this Blink. We hope you enjoyed it. If you can, please take the time to leave us a rating. We always appreciate your feedback. See you in the next Blink.